Yeah.
There are a couple some little boys lately that have gone from there.
Yeah, look at that.
They're still in minor.
Yeah. You come around every now and then still? Yeah. Yeah.
Pardon that.
Yeah.
It's tough. Tough business to make it. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
She takes.
Yeah, it's very limited number.
Yeah.
So that's custom plate. You gotta try to have that some plate on. You kept getting bumped up, and you dropped it.
Yeah. We all want to taking over. Yeah. What's going on?
You're not gonna pay a lot of money either. That young.
What you here for? Yeah.
You guys got a project? What you got?
Yeah. Good comment. Yeah.
Which softball? Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Good. Yeah, it's been a while since you've seen here for the. They want to bring physical therapy. The Medley building. That's what the metal roof looks like. Yeah. Let's see what Neil makes it look like, right? Yeah. Yes. It's a white building, white yeah. 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 But it's there more Charleston fires. Yeah.
That's what
Christmas, I guess. So, hey, you doing? Good to see you.
Welcome, everybody, to the December 18th DRB meeting, the last of 2024. We now have a quorum on the board. So first item is we'll review or we'll approve the November 21st meeting minutes. So is there a motion?
Moved.
Just moves, I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that approves the November 21st meeting minutes. So we have 8 items on the agenda. The first one is 156 Labyrinth Lane Pavilion Revision, final review. Applicant is here.
Okay,
let-
so just to go over the staff report real quick, they are requesting final approval. This is a minor revision to a previously DRB approved subdivision plan. The proposed pavilion structure that you'll see was not present on the previously approved plans. The applicant has provided 2 size options for y'all to review. They will obviously need to verify the size of the live oak tree that is in close proximity of the proposed pavilion with staff to confirm if the location needs to be modified to avoid tree protection area encroachment, but otherwise I had no comments for this one.
Awesome. I appreciate that, Becca. First off, thank y'all for allowing us to come before you. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. So just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a background real quick. So this went before the board probably 2 years ago now. We're in the midst of construction. The owner decided that they wanted to go a different direction as far as the pavilion was concerned. So we ended up modifying how it was laid out. It was laid out very geometric when we came to the DRB the first time. So this has got a lot more thought laid into it as far as how it's laid out. Originally, it was just a connection from the sidewalk that you see adjacent to the roadway, perpendicularly, and boom, just hit the pavilion. That's all it was. So this provides a little bit more access to it. In addition to that, the pavilion that was provided at the final DRB previously was a plexiglass enclosed pavilion with like a flying V roof on it. Actually, I have it on my phone. I forgot to print it out and I apologize for that. But anyways, it didn't match the amenity center. It didn't really go with anything else on the site. So instead, the owner, excuse me, took a step back and decided to look into these polygon structures. The polygon structure that I know that there's pictures here, but what they're looking for is a black roof, and the columns, they want to just be a natural stain of wood for the column. Something very simple for it, and it will have mail kiosks underneath it is what they're looking for. And they're not looking to add necessarily an additional pavilion, but rather, if possible, between 2 different size options. Obviously, they would like the larger. It still falls within all the stormwater calcs that we have to this point. I know that they're under construction, but it won't affect anything stormwater wise, larger or smaller, whichever y'all prefer there. But that's kind of where we've laid it out. To just quickly address Becca's one comment as far as the live oak goes, that is a proposed live oak. Yeah, so it's a part of the planting plan, but we can work with staff as far as if we need to slide that in one direction or the other. We could talk about that too. So, but
Sorry, if it's a 3-inch caliper, then no, you'll be fine.
okay, cool.
It's with that, it shouldn't be within 10 feet of the base of the tree.
Sure. Yeah. And I think we're off.
I apologize for the confusion.
No, you're good. You're all good. So as you can see on here, the 2 dimensions are called out as far as the length and width of the pavilion. But really, we're just coming to y'all with this revision in the hopes to bring it back to y'all, get your thoughts. we'll take a vote and then we'll go from there. So that's really kind of all I got as far as a presentation portion of it goes.
Any comments, questions?
Where is it located on the location plan?
So so where you see that red box, that is the quote unquote
That's
inset
it.
of
That's
what you're
your-
seeing
that's
below.
You're putting it, but where's Maple Street?
So Maple Street itself is
How about Dairy?
south, just to the right. So if you go back,
Go back to what we were looking at before.
yep. So Old Dairy is what you see as the main road on the right side of the viewport there.
The bottom right corner would be North Maple,
That's right.
that you can just barely see.
So as the
Oh, yeah, I know where you are now.
okay. So those two ponds that you see right there that are laid out where the red box is, those are actually two existing ponds that Mr. Bill Salisbury had on his property that we ended up keeping. We dug them a little deeper, but we kept them basically the way that they were, and then they're going to be amenitized with trails around them.
I don't think there's anything.
So you said this is for a mailbox pavilion?
Yes, sir.
And so what is the back of the mailboxes?
So they are standard.
Oh.
They're just your standard unit. Yes, sir.
Okay,
The backs will face one another due
Okay.
to the amount of homes that are within the first phase.
and can you said you're substituting off of this polygon view, timber columns?
So it'll be wood columns that'll have a wood finish stain to them. Yes, sir. And then it'll have a black standing seam roof.
What about all the other roof structure? Is that wood or is that metal? Because here it's showing metal, right?
Yeah, I can't speak to if it'll be wood or metal for the rest of the roof.
So you're not buying a polygon unit, you're just showing it for a sample.
So Polygon allows, from what I understand, Polygon allows for the columns to be a different material should they want to. And so that's where the wood stain color came from our landscape architect's the one that kind of fed me this information. But as far as my understanding is that the columns will be just a standard wood finish. Now, as far as the rest of the roof structure underneath, I can't speak to what that material will be.
And it's internally illuminated? And are you maintaining the minimum foot candles required by the site?
Oh, sure. Yeah. And
sure.
really say that again. So as far as the foot candles are concerned, the lighting that we provide that's required by the site really has to do more with street lighting. Now, as far as the areas at which need to be accessible at night will be illuminated. That's right.
So inside the pavilion, it is not illuminated?
No, it will be illuminated. Yes, sir.
They're not regulated.
Yes,
Illumination standards aren't regulated for this, it's only for street lighting.
That's correct.
But that raises another concern of the safety of this, right? So studies for lighting have shown the brighter it is under the canopy, the harder it is to see past the canopy.
Okay.
So do you know what the foot candles are under the canopy?
No, sir. Do not.
It's almost like the same aspect of being in your house. When your house, with all the windows are open.
Sure. And
front
you're
yard and on lights, you can't see who's in your front yard.
sure. No, I get
Turn on
that.
the lights off inside the house, you can see everything.
You can
in the
see.
front
No, I get that.
And we would verify the foot candles, if there were any question, but you are correct. We the lighting plan, the photometric plan for this development has already been approved. If we need to modify it, when they submit, which I think you've already submitted new plans for disturbance for this.
So the disturbance
I
is
think you
still the
covered that.
same.
Okay.
Yeah, the disturbance is still the same. There's no difference in the land disturbance. We haven't submitted plans yet,
Okay.
just because we wanted to get before the board, get y'all's thoughts. And if everything was good and approved, then we would slide it to staff, knowing that we had y'all's approval. We didn't want to put cart before the horse there, just with respect to the board.
And how high, are you showing how tall this structure is?
The specifications, I think, should go into the height of it. So 16 feet and 16 and a quarter foot, and then 17, almost 18 feet, depending on the size,
Depends on
depending on what footprint.
17 feet. You pick which roof you picking?
Say it again.
You picking the standing seam roof or you picking the multi-rib roof?
It'll be a standing seam metal roof,
So it'll be
black,
standing
which
seam metal roof.
reflects
What?
the black standing seam metal roof. There's a portion of that that was already previously approved that is on the amenity center. So it's just a reflection of what the amenity center is.
So the four options you're picking standing seam.
Say that again.
Four options for roofing on this drawing here. Four options, you're picking the standing seam.
That's correct. Yes,
The
sir.
most expensive option
So, yes, sir.
in black, color black.
Is this the only male pavilion for your project here, or are there others? And if there are others, are you matching?
So this is the only male pavilion for this phase. In future phases, which we are currently in the permitting process on, there is not a pavilion for the bank of CBUs of mailboxes in quote unquote phase 2 of the development.
What kind of residential structures are these? Are these townhouses or single family? Or?
It's a mix of both. Yes, sir. So it's there's
Townhomes up.
townhomes up front. Yes, sir.
How
Townhomes
come
up front.
there's
single
not a mailbox on a wood pole out in the street in front of each dwelling unit?
Yeah, you can't do this.
So it's federally, you're not allowed to anymore.
Huh?
Federally, you're not allowed to anymore.
What? Really?
Yeah. About 10 years ago, they started on the West Coast. and moved
Because
to the east.
post office ordains that. I guess.
Yes, sir.
Makes it easier on them.
Yep.
Huh.
Okay,
Still
the-
deliver to my door.
Just to give a quick background, the reason that this has the pavilion over the mailbox is because this is highlighted as more of a central amenity area versus where the mailboxes are located in one of the future phases. It's technically the third phase, but it's called phase 2, just because the first phase got split into A and B. Anyways, in the final phase that we're currently permitting, the mailboxes are tucked way in the back, and so it didn't make sense to amenitize those mailboxes.
As long as you gotta do it, I think it looks good.
Sure.
so just question on the landscaping. So you're putting landscaping along one side. Why not both sides?
The other side, they want it to be somewhat accessible to the pond and kind of interactive with the pond. That's why she didn't put landscaping on the other side.
Also looks to shield from the road. Maybe.
I mean, is it desirable to see the back of the mailboxes?
Well,
Versus
they're
the-
back to back, so you'll see the front no matter which side you're on. But they've got that African iris, which appears to be kind of shielding it from the road. I don't know. Was that the intent?
I think that's partial of the intent. It's also to just kind of break up the mailboxes that
Do you see any compelling reason not to do it on the other side? To plant the African iris?
other than her thought of just having interaction with the pond of a cover there that they could from the mailbox make their way towards the pond should they want to. Other than that, I mean, there's no compelling reason as to not plant it. If you kind of use the pavilion as a scale, so if you take the 34-foot wide, it's approximately probably 40-45 feet from the edge of the pavilion.
It just seems you have a nice sidewalk, I assume, for meandering, and as opposed to being exposed to the back of mailboxes, it'd be a simple solution to
Sure.
shield it. So is that something you're agreeable to?
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Are there any other final questions, comments from the board? Okay, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Thank y'all. Appreciate your time.
Y'all, can we cease discussion on this item and continue to the next one, please? Thank you. So I'll go ahead and read the staff report. We've reviewed the updated plan with the town arborist. We feel that the applicant has made a significant effort to address concerns in relation to tree encroachment for this new amenity center at Pineland Preserve. Specific tree protection locations will be adjusted as needed through the MS4 permitting process and pre-con meeting staff. Staff would recommend, planting a continuous row of evergreen shrubs around the playground fencing that faces Dahlberg Street and Lot 16. And staff does not have any further comments. I just put in a little image. Oh, sorry. I do have one further note. Here is the suggested row approximate area for those evergreen shrubs. And then I would recommend moving 2 of the proposed parking lot light poles to reduce spillage onto these residential lots here beyond the amenity area. The maximum foot candles at the property line for this area is 3 per the UDO 9.3.4C. The proposed plan appears to exceed that allowance. So there's the current proposed location. I would recommend moving them into these island areas. And now I will hand it over to the applicant.
Hey, good afternoon. So as Becca said, we
Could you
made-
introduce
sorry.
yourself? and
Yeah,
your
my
role?
name is Brian Huff with HLA, representing Mungo Homes on this one. So yeah, as Becca mentioned, we kind of made some revisions to the plan based on the last meeting. Primarily shifting that playground up to the northeast corner to avoid encroaching on that live oak down in the, that she's highlighting there. As we did that, we added that fire pit that she's circling now. And other than that, it's basically what we came with last time. We did, I guess we provided the photometric plan, and per Becca's comment, we're okay shifting those lights. And then as well as the landscaping plan, we're okay adding those evergreens around the playground area. We also provided the color rendering of the amenity center. And I think we have a sample of the black metal seam roof. And other than that, everything's gonna be painted white except for the kind of accessories.
How about the brick?
Brick will also be painted white.
Will we? Did you approve that last time?
I don't believe so. I don't think we provided this plan last time. I think we talked about it, but I don't know if that was necessarily approved at the last meeting.
I don't like painted brick on that. How about you?
Y'all, please make sure you speak into the microphones.
Becca, one question I would have is, let's assume they move the light poles and it still exceeds 3-foot candles at the property line. Is that something staff would ensure happens, or are they asking for some sort of?
No, I mean, they could certainly request approval from the DRB to exceed that. It's not a condition of the use. It's not something that we typically see as a request, and I don't think they would.
Yeah, that's
want
not
that.
our plan. We would modify it, I think, as needed to.
But yes,
I just
staff,
want to make sure there's an
Yeah.
extra level of protection.
Right,
for the-
yeah, understood, yeah, we would.
staff would ensure that the level is revised and met.
Excellent. Okay.
Was there any proposed lighting within this walkway of the pavilion?
I don't know the answers to that. Do you know if there's lighting?
It's Matt Halton on the home. There's lighting shown within the building. Carl Berry, the architect, couldn't be here, so I'll do my best to walk you through the architecture part, but
Sure.
there are some LED lights inside the building. Yeah. Specifically.
Well, it's just normal lighting levels inside the building.
Sir,
Just normal lighting levels,
normal lighting.
Yeah,
nothing outrageous.
And Bill, the white painted brick, that was similar to 6 Oaks, which we did across the street, had white painted brick, but if you guys want natural brick, we can certainly do natural brick.
I would prefer it, but I don't care one way or the other.
Okay.
Whatever everybody else.
Did you literally mean paint it or a white brick.
It'll be a,
Okay.
it'll be a white
Oh.
wash.
Yeah.
And that's the same as we did at 6 Oaks Community Center as well. Roof is just a standard, standing seam, black roof. White is a pure white Sherwin-Williams. Same as 6 Oaks color.
Have you looked at any kind of light sconces, some kind of decorative lantern hanging, just to make it more aesthetically pleasing versus just recessed LEDs?
Not any light on the exterior or sconces on the exterior, but we can look at it.
Is that something you're willing to do?
What's around the building? I mean, nothing, I mean,
There's landscaping around the building.
just landscaping, but no other buildings, meaning,
No.
so it stands alone.
When you come into the main drive, which may be hard to see, at the very top of that plan is the entrance to the neighborhood, so your first neighborhood would be.
So my question would be, just to throw out there, the white brick, does that go along with anything else that you would see if you drove through? This is going to be the first thing you see. Does that go with the flow of what other things look like?
Monument is under design now, and we're gonna use the same concepts for the entry signage as the amenity building.
Gotcha. So if we went with, if we told you we needed not to do white brick, you'd follow that with whatever? Okay. I'm not opposed to white, except on this model, I think it is a lot of white. Unfortunately, it'll be hard to keep that color since it's at the bottom.
And it'll get overgrown by shrubs, but like I said, if you guys want natural brick, then.
How much foundation planning have you got?
Sure.
Foundation planning around the building, how much you got? What's that?
Get a
Landscape plan?
landscape plan.
Page 23.
Oh, you got a whole lot of landscape foundation plan.
Yeah.
Okay. I just let it be their call.
Your call. You're not going to see much of it anyway.
Okay.
Just keep it consistent.
With an entrance monument. We'll have to submit that, that's the staff level review, the entrance monument sign.
Y'all just have to confirm whatever you guys are going with.
Did you show us the fence around the pool? Did we already review all of those things about the pool itself, or is that something you can quickly show us?
I'm not, is that part of the pool? So
I
the
think on the,
fencing will be a black aluminum.
yeah, I think that's, it's at least called out on the site plan, but I don't think we have a detail for it at this point. But yeah.
Okay.
Black,
4 inches between the pickets,
5 foot tall, black aluminum.
normal routine.
And the paving is just plain concrete?
It's asphalt, parking lot's asphalt.
I mean, around the pool.
Around the pool is concrete. And then some of those trails that encroach into the tree, drip line will be mixed path with plantation mix type stone.
What is this area that you're fencing off right behind the amenity center? Just south of the right hand,
Here,
no, go up, near,
Right.
right behind the amenity center. Is that a fence?
There's a playground that's gonna be fenced in.
Nope. Go into the pool, into the pool.
here,
Nope,
here,
yes.
that's the,
That's the back of the structure, so there's
Can't
a
be.
That's a
overhang
porch.
on the back of the building.
Is that a porch?
Porch basically,
Like a porch, like a porch, just like a porch.
Okay,
covered area.
okay. I think you need to add some some decorative lighting, some sconces. Especially on the inside to kind of show off where the restrooms are.
One on the inside as well as the outside.
I'd say more the inside versus the outside. I would like to see a hanging nice lantern in there for
Okay.
a low country feel.
Okay.
Any other Questions, comments? Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that they add the sconces for your comments. They move the light poles, as suggested by staff. And that the brick overall matches the feel of the neighborhood as per the sign and other aesthetic aspects planned for the community.
Is there a second?
Yep, second that.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. So
You.
will we have to come back to this again? All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Final approval.
We have your promise. Recorded. Okay, the next item.
It looks like IT may have uploaded the previous agenda, so let me skip down here. I have the other one on a flash drive with me, so we need to. So it's 725 Central, Peter. So if the applicants for the flex space 725 Central are here, come on up.
Full Avenue.
No? We can discuss this if y'all want. My staff report is pretty lengthy because there are still various outstanding items. They were requesting final approval, however, their landscape plan did not meet requirements. I had put in my staff report that we would be willing to allow DRB to grant final approval should you guys decide that. And we could work, the arborist and I would work with them on the landscaping plan, but seeing as they aren't here, I'll leave that decision up to y'all.
I think I ought to come back.
I think we can defer this
Okay,
until maybe they'll show up.
okay.
Since there's so many comments.
If you could just make a motion in a second for that, please.
Is there a
Make a
mo-
motion that we defer and that they respond to staff comments on their next note.
So that is deferred, not to the end of this meeting, but to the next meeting, correct?
I was suggesting we defer for this meeting until,
The next meeting.
no,
No.
They-
see if they can, see if they're just running late in traffic.
So motion to reorganize the agenda,
Sure.
to put this at the end, and then we can revisit it.
Okay,
And then we can, if they don't show up, then we can,
Then we-
Defer.
yes.
we'll address that before the meeting's over.
Got it.
All right.
Or flexible.
okay, next item, 100 North Hampton Street. Is the applicant here?
So this request is a little different from the typical requests you would see as the UDO addresses this type of request, which I'll go over in the evaluation, in that it requires DRB approval. So the applicant is requesting to allow a food truck that they have in addition to their storefront. It would technically act as a permanent structure for sales in front of the store, though it may not remain there 100% of the time. They do have an existing open business here at 100 Northampton. So per UDO conditions for mobile food vending, basically they cannot store, park, or leave any vehicle overnight on any street or sidewalk. And this is located in front of the building off of Hampton Street. So mobile food vending operations are not meant to operate in a permanent location, which is why they are only permitted as temporary uses. In order to approve the food truck as a permanent structure for this business location, the design review board would need to approve the permanent placement of the food truck at 100 Northampton Street. Staff does not have any major concerns with the request, as the location of the truck would mostly impact the associated business directly and does not appear to present any sightline issues for entering and exiting traffic as they relate to that side street. It's not very busy. The property owner will need to work on an exact location with staff to ensure there are no visibility issues or encroachment into the. Here's the location. 78. Again here. And a picture. And I will hand it over to the applicant.
Thank you. Hello, good afternoon. My name is Monica Lopez. I'm representing Karen Lopez. And well, I believe the information is straightforward. It's a family-owned Hispanic retail store. And our intent is to be able to operate outside our retail store.
Can you go back to the overall, any other comments you want to make?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so it's Highway 78. Where's Hampton Street?
Almost in the middle school. Middle school's right off this page on the left of it.
To the left. This is the old Napa Auto Parts store right beside it. Is that correct? And so where's their location? This one?
Yes, sir. Second red dot. down
Second
there.
red dot?
Yeah, it's on the corner lot. It's the next one.
So can we assume in this photograph, we see this trailer, or is that your food truck?
Yes, sir.
Is that what you're proposing to remain permanently?
Yes, sir.
So, Becca, would this set any precedents, regardless of your due diligence of this particular area? Would this establish a precedent of allowing someone else to do a similar situation anywhere in the town of Somerville?
It would have to be approved by DRB on a case-by-case situation basis, yes.
Is that a house on the other side of it?
Yeah.
Home?
It appears to be a residential structure, but I'm not aware of the use of that property specifically. It is zoned residentially. There does appear to be a buffer existing somewhat. I can't really see if this is a better picture.
Looks like a house.
Do you know if the shrubbery continues along the property line?
If the what? I'm sorry.
Shrubbery, the bushes?
Oh, behind. Yeah, there's a small space.
Between you and the house.
Mhm.
Looks like it stops right where the trailer starts.
So can you explain the operations of this, hours? Can someone, where are people gonna park? Where are they gonna come to you? How are they getting to your unit? Are there bathrooms? Does your neighbor, have you talked to your neighbor? So can you talk more about
yes,
the
of course.
operations?
Of course. Well, the idea is to operate on the same hours as our retail store, which is 8:30 to 9:30. The idea is in and out, not necessarily for them to dine in the area. So they would be sharing the parking area of our retail store. And the owners on the right side, it's a car wash. So also it's like in and out.
And so you're in that entire building, that's your store, that whole white building?
Yes.
Do you have a kitchen in this existing retail unit? I mean, are you serving food currently out of your store?
No.
So this trailer would be the only source of hot food? Is that what
Yes,
you're
sir.
planning?
In our retail store, what we do have is a deli area, which we would be using the retail store as commissary purposes for the food truck. That was already approved by DHEC, and now it's under the Department of Agriculture. So they're already approved for the retail to be commissary purposes for our food trailer.
Do you have public bathrooms in your store?
Yes, sir.
How many? One?
Yes.
And is this a resident right behind it? Is that where the owner lives?
No, the owner does not live there.
What is this unit right behind the food truck?
Oh, it's a residence of
Is it a rental or can you explain who
Where-
lives there?
Oh, no, I lack that information.
So where's the car wash? You're saying it's toward
On the
Fifth
right
Street?
side.
In this view, it's on the left-hand side.
Oh, yeah.
Here.
Okay.
It's not a drive-through car wash, it's a
They,
Mhm.
their business license specifically for that, operation, they detail. That it's not like your typical car wash, and they are not permitted to keep vehicles overnight on site there. And according to the business owner and the conditions their business license, were approved with is that, cars will come, go into the shop, be detailed, and then picked up within the same day.
it's all done by hand.
Becca, what does the sign ordinance say on signage on vehicles, particularly tagged vehicles? Does it cover
Um,
that, or does it only cover freestanding and attached?
I mean, personally, I would not interpret. I know what you're referring to, the moving vehicular signage. You know, I haven't seen us apply that to food trucks. And this request, you know, it's going to be for all purposes a permanent location. I don't think we would interpret it as a sign, but this is the first kind of request that we've reviewed
Well,
like this.
I'm worried, I mean, in this picture, it's a blank
Mhm,
trailer.
mhm.
Most food trucks decorate very extensively, so I guess my question is if it is in a semi-permanent nature, is it subject to a freestanding
Oh,
sign?
absolutely,
Okay, as opposed to, my town vehicle has,
correct.
gotcha,
I think we ought to assume it's gonna look like a food truck.
agreed.
It's gonna have full up station printed on the side.
There.
I don't really have any problems with it, all things considered.
I'm not, I would have concerns because we're adding intensity to a use that, yes, is intense, but the neighbors landscaping, I mean, it's gonna be in a parking space. I don't know what the UDO would require in terms of upping the landscaping standard to protect that residence, whether they're rental or not. I also have heartburn with allowing temporary uses on a permanent nature. Because I see this every day. I have to assume that they're gonna be wildly successful, and I hope they are. And that's where my fear of it's essentially going to turn into a very hot spot till 9 o'clock at night. I don't know that we can condition the hours of operations. Let's say they open till 11 p.m. Then we have a nightmare. And I agree with Peter and Becca that at the end of the day, this doesn't create a precedent. Everyone would have to come before us, but it gets really hard to tell somebody else no. That's my fear.
I agree that it sets a precedence of allowing a temporary facility to become a permanent facility. I mean, if they really wanted a kitchen and really wanted to operate a restaurant out of this facility, the existing brick and mortar, they should remodel the brick and mortar to accommodate.
And right now, that is how we've been handling, because this is the first request of this nature, but we have had other restaurant properties, utilize food trucks on site, but those were required to be screened. And so that's why you haven't seen them come before you. And it may be something that we need to take a closer look at the UDO to accommodate food trucks. Right now, we really don't have a lot of requirements when it comes to that, other than business licensing.
Any other comments from the board, questions?
So when you drive by this and you keep going, everything else past this pretty much is going to be residential, correct? Okay.
Okay, do we have a motion? They're looking for final approval. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to deny.
Is there a second? I'll second that. All those in favor of the denial, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
No.
3 ayes, 1 no.
Thank you.
I'll follow up with you tomorrow and we can discuss further options.
Okay, thank you.
Wouldn't want to do that no matter what.
Okay, next project, 306 Old Fort Drive, Oak Brook Elementary Edition. Applicant here?
Okay, so for Oak Brook Elementary Edition, they are requesting final review. This is an existing school campus off of Old Fort Drive. The project being on a property that's zoned public land was reviewed by council on 12/12, and it was approved. So I'll skip down through here. The town arborist has reviewed the trees to be removed and finding that they are in poor health has no issue with the removal. There are existing trees on site that meet the requirement for mitigation and screening. The proposed landscape plan is lacking in that it only includes sod. Staff cannot recommend final approval with the current plan. Staff would recommend that if the design review board feels the architecture warrants final approval, that they condition their approval with the requirement that a landscaping plan is provided that includes foundation plantings at minimum and will be subject to staff approval before the project can move forward with MS4 permitting. I will hand it over to the applicant.
I'm here to represent the district in the addition for the elementary school. This is a 10,000 square foot
Could
addition.
you state your name?
Oh, sure. Mike Nixon with M. Nixon Design. I'm the architect for the project. And we'll be adding on to the back of the school, very similar to the middle school, but for the elementary school, 10,000 square foot addition for what you see there, 9 classrooms. 4 kindergarten and 5 first graders. And this will kind of nestle in the rear of the property. So you're not really going to see anything from the main street. The design of it is going to be a single story brick building with a different base color than the top. Very similar to what's going on in the rest of the property. And I think we provided some little rendering details. There you go.
Is
So-
this walkway canopy new or that's
The
existing?
walkway canopy would be an aluminum canopy white to match the existing that are around the campus to attach it to the main structure.
Brick, same color as the other building?
The roof?
Brick.
Yeah, the brick is going to match all the existing
Same color out there.
same color, yeah. It's a,
Garland Crump still out there?
excuse me?
Garland Crump, principal?
Lord, no.
Long-
She said, Lord, no. So am I correct in looking at this, that there are 3 different type of brick standards out there? I see one that had CMU at the very beginning. I see one where it's got a red stripe through the middle of the wall. I'm looking at Google Street View.
Oh, okay. So the
So all the brick
elementary
colors match.
school,
Yeah.
originally when it was built in the 80s or 90s, had CMU split face block.
Mm-hmm.
The last addition that was done was the Fine Arts Building in 2016, and that has a similar pattern of red and a tan brick on it.
It's all the same color. I mean, it matches. It just
Yeah.
doesn't seem like any one building out there has the same pattern. That's kind of my,
No, yeah,
Yeah.
they're all very not following a
Varied.
same
Yeah.
variant of each other. Yeah.
Is there a specific purpose why you did not match the banding, the details of the existing buildings?
This is
I'm Tony Soul. I'm the, what am I this week? I'm the, capital projects facilitator for District 2. So I think that to answer your question, the best is time. So what was done 30 years ago, can't find anything to match that. In 2016, they did another one. They couldn't find anything to match that. So we're finding the closest match to the latest edition, I think is what we're trying to do. And I think we found that, with what we have. So it's, I don't know that we're ever going to find an exact match,
I think his question was more.
More the rhythm.
banding.
The
Yeah,
banding.
there's a pattern that's on the existing
Yeah,
building.
so
Mine
I
doesn't
think there's a
match.
soldier course on, one of the buildings. It's close, but it's not an exact match because of the different elevations.
But is there a physical compelling reason why? It appears to me that it's an easy match. It's just the sequence of your,
I'd have
dark
to go
brick.
back and look at what that height of that
He
building
actually
is, the
has,
patterning.
I don't know if you want to take a look at the existing building.
That's the 2016 version, which is,
Oh, okay.
it's got a very tall parapet wall.
Different scale.
It's,
It's not the same scale as this project.
and I think they put that band in the middle.
And
of
it's
the
not
middle
even
block.
adjacent to each other on two different sides of.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yeah,
I apologize.
yeah, that's what, this is nestled, I mean, if you go back to the overall site plan. There.
Yeah, I thought it was behind that one I showed.
Yeah, so. Let's see, plan north of that existing building, that is where that kind of 1.5 story fine arts building is. That was done in 2016. This is a more of a single story, like 18-foot tall.
Is there a deep parapet on this new proposed structure to conceal any rooftop equipment, or what are you doing with HVAC?
No, there's HVAC on the roof, but we're not, there's a small parapet, but nothing concealing the HVAC.
Right, so is there, we would like to conceal the
Really?
HVAC?
That's different. It's not viewable from the public way at all. That would be,
It's just in the ordinance, it's a requirement in the ordinance.
you can't see it from where? How do I screen it from what?
Well.
From who am I
the
screening
ordinance
it
does-
from?
I think,
Ordinance does not address that. It just
Oh.
says that you shall screen the equipment.
I think it's more the ordinance talks about a parapet on top of a flat roof,
Yeah, I have a
Joe
parapet.
Blow can walk
but
around your
I
building.
think
and say
there's a
not
minimum
necessary.
parapet.
Typically, the standard is that it wouldn't be visible from any right of way. So it states that mechanical equipment, electrical equipment, any sort of additional equipment will be screened in such a way that or located in such a way that it is not visible from any public right of way.
So this is in behind existing buildings from the right of way. You wouldn't even see it from the.
I mean, the campus is essentially located in a little forest, unless you're within the campus.
Yeah, the only way you'll see this building is if you get on campus.
Why wouldn't you want to screen it? What's the compelling reason? Because you're obviously,
Money.
Cost. I mean, it's a huge cost to put screening up around mechanical units.
how many units are,
These are pretty much hurricane rated cantilevered walls up on the roof to screen the mechanical.
how many units are required?
There's one per classroom, and there is one main large
So 10.
DOA unit that is
Oh.
like a tractor trailer truck.
Oh, my God. Is that on the
So
ground?
this building would go would be twice as high as it is.
No, we won't want to do that. How about?
HVAC?
Excuse me?
This large unit, where's it set?
Right in the middle of the building, so it brings in the fresh air that's required by code. I mean, I didn't show it on the rendering.
You look. The only flat roof
What's the roof structure on the original building that was built first?
It's a standing seam metal roof. Is that right? No, it's
So
a,
the roof structure on the original school.
On the original,
Yeah.
this is behind the original building, right?
Yeah, it's shingle.
Oh,
roof.
it's
Right,
shingle.
but does it look
Sloped-
flat?
sloped
So,
Roof shingle that's, and it's, this is tucked in behind the elementary school.
right, I've been there, but I
It's-
couldn't tell you, I couldn't remember what
Yeah,
that looks like.
Well, you'd almost be better off just put the AC units on the ground.
Let the kids play on it.
that's,
Put a fence around it.
That would change
So they all have.
way too much.
The only one on the property that doesn't have the 26.
What's the unit look like? I mean, is
Just typical rooftop package
if you
unit.
paint it purple, it's gonna look good or what?
I think it comes in gray or gray.
Depends
Gray or
on the,
blue? Huh?
depends on the
Right,
manufacturer.
I'm doing that.
What's your access to the roof?
There's a
Roof
interior roof access ladder.
Is that shown on the plan?
It's interior.
I know,
You
but-
can see a little dot there next to the canopy that's on my route on that 3D Axon view.
That's your roof hatch?
Yeah.
Um,
Can you go to the floor plan, Becca?
there's the roof hatch.
Yes.
So
Where's
it's
the,
on the lower left-hand corner inside that janitor's closet is where you get access to.
Right there.
Excuse me, sorry.
Which way is the roof drain?
It drains from, would be plan south to plan north into some, scuppers and downspouts, and then those get
Towards the
taken,
pond?
excuse me,
Towards the detention pond?
then they get taken towards the detention pond, yes.
You've got downspouts shown on the building, I think, on this plan, don't you? Am I looking at downspouts?
On the north side, there should be four, I think, four
Yeah,
downspouts.
It's probably,
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
And then the pipe running to the bottom. That must be it. You showed the pipe. The drain pipe.
Yeah, the civil picks up the drain pipe.
well, I'm concerned that the aesthetics that I think we all want to achieve is not being achieved with the visible rooftop units, and especially the number of them. And I still haven't heard, how tall is your parapet off the roof? Inches or feet?
Well, I think at one side it's inches, and then the other side it slopes from one side to the other. So
Okay.
I think we're 7 or 8 inches from the coping, and then we come.
And again, I thought I recall on the UDO, Becca, that there is a minimum parapet height for flat roofs.
I
On,
pulled up the UDO. I'm not seeing what you're referring
Reason
to,
it's
but
not
I'll
screened
keep
is that
looking.
it's not, wasn't visible from a public way, so
What do you got, about 30 tons?
I'm not sure. what-
10,000 foot building and a ton for 350 square foot per ton.
that's,
Which is a
that's probably pretty close.
Okay.
good
But
rule.
you
of
have,
thumb.
you have to add, probably about another 5 or 6 tons because of the exterior,
This
the
big
dedicated
fresh
outdoor
air,
air.
this big fresh air thing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Peter, there's no specific dimension for parapets within the UDO.
Well, they've been, the problem's been handled in the past with increasing parapet wall height. And then also by just putting an individual screen around the unit themselves, separate from the parapet.
Yeah, I've done a lot when they're visible from, Main Street and they don't want to be seen. And that's why it's always, where do you not want to see it from? Because these things are so big. And you're gonna see it from some distance, so it's always, where do you not want to see it from?
My personal feeling is, it's like two mules fighting over turnip. And I'd forget it on this one. About the screen, because you are way out of sight. Nobody will see it,
Yeah, unfortunately nobody's gonna see my building.
see your
but
building either.
The kids will
It's,
have a place to learn, so
If I worked there, I'd say.
you'd see it.
it's.
Me and
it's
Joe.
a- Well,
I work at Span.
you work the span, do you really?
okay, are there,
It's a person working there. If I'm gonna look at an air conditioner, I don't know.
Just
It's
for,
not very attractive. However, what I'm going to say is that it is in the very back.
Mhm.
Is the unit gonna be in the middle of the building?
There's gonna be the main unit, the dedicated outdoor air unit, which is I don't have the exact dimensions, but it's gonna sit on a curb and it's probably 8 feet tall from roof
I don't
to,
think this one's that big. I think this one's gonna.
they're usually about head height,
5 or 6
you know,
feet tall.
so it's 6 feet tall.
Okay, and where's it sit on the
Sits
roof?
directly in the middle of the building,
The center of the roof?
center of the roof. And then
Oh.
each classroom has their own unit that brings in air
Which is
conditioning.
gonna be about 4x4 towers.
Yeah, those are about
3
4
by
by 4,
4.
yeah, so yeah.
And you're only gonna be about 3 feet high tops. So you're gonna have to get way back to see any of this. You're not, you're gonna get way away from the building, 100 feet. From the
So, but
building.
on that walkway, if you're walking on that walkway to get to that building, are you going to be able to see an air conditioning unit coming from one building to the other?
Not because,
You may see the top of the unit.
well, you got a roof.
If you go stand on Old Fort Road,
Right,
you won't even see the building. You won't see
Right.
anything from the roof. You'll see the front of the Oak Brook Elementary School in Oak Brook because the topography out there won't allow you to see
Right.
anything on that campus.
and then my other question is, is this because this flat box that we're adding onto the piece of property, is this because we need it? And I understand that because we've got so many kids. Is this a time factor because we need it to put bodies in it? Or if we had a little more time, would it look a little bit better? I don't know, but I get it.
I doubt it because a lot of our construction is budget driven.
Of course.
I don't think you can get, it doesn't look like you can get far enough back from the building to see this.
Right.
You got this vertical wall, you're down here. You gotta get way back to see this. If you're here,
The further back
You
you
can't
go,
see
the
it.
lower you get.
further back you go, the lower you get and the less you're gonna see because of the high elevation differences.
That's correct.
I think we ought to move on, build a building.
Yeah. Is there a consideration to locate all the rooftop mechanical units toward the center of the building to keep them away from the edges, keep them from the visible?
I don't have, I'd have to share a roof plan with you with the mechanical. There's not really much room to.
But is there a
there's
compelling
not
design
really-
reason why you couldn't make an effort to place the units away from the
Yeah, we
front edge?
have. There's just clearances and stuff that we have.
Right.
I'd have to share with you what our roof plan is to try to get them all.
Now,
as
these
close to the
package
center
units
as
are
possible.
split.
Package units.
They're package units,
Yeah,
so
so we have condensers on every unit.
so
that
the
have to have a
condenser,
minimum
so the
condenser.
unit, the package unit's gotta sit over the class.
Right.
It's being, this service,
To minimize ductwork. Yes, sir.
Sir?
To minimize ductwork.
to minimize.
Yeah, I
ductwork.
mean, everything we've
You know,
done,
that's- I mean, it's all to make sense.
It's just-
everything we've done on the design so far is to minimize costs for the district.
Oh.
You know, view of mechanical units from the exterior was not in our, so we'd have to go back and study that and look at rearranging ductwork and.
I'm gonna come to you. I'll be coming to you, in the spring with a design for a 2-story addition to Somerville Elementary. And we're gonna have to do exactly what you're talking about there.
Oh,
because
yeah.
You'll be able to see the top of that building from Main Street, and we're gonna have to take into account parapet to screen that. We've already taken that into consideration because we're very close to the, historic district there.
Mhm.
Where we're doing the construction is not in the historic district, but it can be seen from Main Street.
Well, you
So-
got several streets, you'll be able to see that.
Yes, and we want to take that into account on that project, but this one, we didn't really anticipate it being an issue because it's probably 300 yards from Old Fort Road and the only people that are gonna see it's on the playground.
So it sounds like at least you're sensitive to what we're discussing right now,
Absolutely, absolutely.
and that you will make every effort possible for this
we're
project
we will
to minimize.
I will get with the mechanical engineer to see if there's any way we can orient the package units and the dedicated outdoor air unit to bring it closer to the center of the building. And we'll probably have to get our structural engineer as well
Yeah.
to make sure that the roof structure will support all that weight and. And, and we want to take that into account on that project, but this one, we didn't really anticipate it being an issue because it's probably 300 yards from Old Fort Road and the only people that are gonna see it's on the playground.
Yeah.
So That's another thing we have to take into consideration is the distribution of weight load on the roof structure.
Well, the heat and cool units, being package units, they're not that big and heavy.
They're not singularly, but when you start multiplying those,
They're spread out per classroom. So
Yeah.
they're spread out over a pretty good
Yes.
day.
It's pretty big.
Yeah. So it's 10,000 foot building, not very big, to start with.
So
I could certainly share the roof plan as it is right now so that you can at least see it and see where we are.
You talk,
Look like.
can you talk about the walkway? What is that structure?
It's a aluminum canopy structure, kind of pre-manufactured, that would connect the main building to
And you
the-
said this matches existing details?
Yeah, there's existing canopies all along both Oak Brook Middle School and Oak Brook Elementary School with these metal canopies that connect
They basically
the
like that on
different parts of the building.
Yeah, we have a contract with company TVM, and they provide our canopies, and you know exactly what they look like.
About the same at every campus.
It's pretty much the same at every campus.
Yeah.
We make them a little wider in some places, and in some places we have to accommodate fire trucks for fire access, and those are pretty much useless because they're 14 feet
Yeah.
tall, but we put them there.
So it sounds like we're at a position to condition or move it to final approval, not final approval tonight, because we have some questions with landscaping. We
Mhm.
want to see the roof plan to ensure that it's shielded. So what is that motion? A approved to final or a preliminary approval?
Is this the initial submission?
They're requesting final approval, which is why in the staff report, I had mentioned that if y'all were comfortable with the architecture, we do review HVAC and mechanical equipment screening all the time at staff level. So that's something in the interest of moving the project forward. Again, that if you are at that point, the landscaping plan, you could condition that they would have to submit a landscaping plan and HVAC screening or relocation of the HVAC as a condition of the final approval rather than asking them to come back.
I think, yeah, I think architecturally, this is acceptable.
Yep.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve under with the condition that full landscape plan be submitted to staff or staff level approval, as well as staff level approval for the
Rooftop-
shielding of,
Rooftop equipment.
yes, rooftop mechanical equipment.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Thank you. Okay, next item, 105 Midland Parkway, new construction of a comeback shack restaurant, conceptual review.
So just to remind you of this project that came before the board previously, there was an optometry office that was approved and went all the way through MS4 permitting, but did not move forward beyond 2021. I included the TRC comments from November. This is a conceptual approval, so they are a review request, so they are looking for feedback from y'all. And again, this is at 105 Midland Parkway, located here, and I'll hand it over to the applicant.
My name is Elliot Locklear with Locklear Consulting, and Joe Allen Rogers, our architect, is with us today. This site is just off of Trolley behind the gas station. It's on the corner. It's been there for a very long time. There's a entrance into the Publix shopping center that separates us from the gas station on the corner. So to the left is the entrance into the Publix from Midland Parkway, and beyond that to the left is the gas station. Publix is due north.
It's where the car wash used to be.
This is where the car wash used to be. Car wash was located on the left half of the site. This Yeah, so that's where that was, and that's been completely demolished,
Yeah.
all the way to pavement and curbing.
Who used to own that thing? Like,
Robert Pratt owned it, Comeback Shack is purchased.
well, before Robert, somebody, I dealt with a guy years ago, back when it was still a car wash functioning. He tried a number of different things on the site. Nothing ever worked, and Robert ended up with it.
Yes, yeah, I think he probably tried to fit a car wash on one side to be able to do something else on the remainder, and that didn't work out for him.
Yeah.
So this is the numbered trees, or those circles that are actually not parking space numbers. Didn't realize how confusing that was. But.
Me
but,
too.
yeah, okay. So this is our site plan. The current driveway, if Becca, you could scroll up just a hair. The current, yeah, to show the bottom of the slide, I was just wanted to show where the old driveway into the car wash is where that section of curb is missing on the left of the storm drain inlet. So that's where the driveway currently is into the site. We want to shift that down to the, farther down to the right end of the site. And we've talked with DOT about that with our conceptual review, and they don't have any heartache about that. There's nothing developed in the lot across the street to line up with. It also gives us a greater separation from the public's driveway, so they actually liked something I tried to do. The Comeback Shack is dine-in and drive-through. There are a couple in the area, but it's an expensive hamburger and really good fries. It's good. And as far as the site, we are, yeah, let me talk just a little bit about the site, because I want to kind of give what's around it there. To the right is a HOA open space area. The upper right-hand corner of the property is as close as the residential comes to it. But at that point, kind of creates a triangle to the right of our property. So the houses get farther and farther away from us, that's what I'd say, as we come out toward Midland Parkway. You can kind of see that there in the corner. But that was the most logical place to put the dumpster, but that would be the closest to the residential. So on our site plan, we're going to make every employee unhappy, but we've got the dumpsters on the way out toward the Publix drive, is where we got them located. Obviously nothing on the front. In your packet of staff level comments, there was one that was applied to this, which we've already corrected, and that had to do with moving the parking to the left a little bit further back in order to not be forward of the face of the building. So that's already been addressed. Any questions on the site?
Ordering at the window. So it's not like a speaker, it's actually an order at a window, and then you wrap
Yes.
around the building and pick up.
People outside,
Okay.
all the current Chick-fil-A model where the people are out there taking their order. It's not a kiosk type. And you drive around, they're coming out the door to bring it to you, much like your Chick-fil-A model.
Yep. I mean, I'd like to see a landscape plan. I don't see it here. Obviously, this is conceptual, but it seems like you're paying attention to the residential, to the plan east. I guess it's actually real east too. Ish.
Yeah, zoom out a little bit there, Becca, so we can see the front. I'll just describe the landscaping. We are, we meet the 15 feet on the right-hand side toward that open space for the residential. On the front is an 8-foot requirement, or was it 10? Whatever it is, we've got one more foot. than the minimum required. We will be putting in a brick lattice type wall that I'm not sure that I included those pictures of the wall in the submittal, but it's fairly common.
And the wall's going where? I apologize.
Along the back of curb on the frontage, so that we'll
Okay.
landscape in front of the wall on the Midland Parkway
Gotcha.
side, and the wall will be close to the back of curb there.
We probably
Um,
would like to see that as well, correct?
Yeah, we'll have that detailed in our next submittal.
Perfect.
How are you dealing with stormwater? It's all underground?
All the parking will be pervious pavers with you see the island in between the two double loaded parking, underground detention, biosystems, the right hand side, that will be pervious pavers as well, and underground detention.
How big's the site?
Less than like, it's,
Yeah.
I think it's 0.99.
Okay.
It is 0.99. Yep.
And this meets parking requirement for the restaurant?
They'd love to have more.
Have we got cross easement parking with any of the neighbors?
We do not have any cross easement parking agreements with the publics behind. They do have plenty of unused parking back there.
Yeah.
They haven't approached that. We did get the curb cut to their driveway approved. And that location of the driveway splits between two oak trees that are 37 feet apart. So we don't have a 24-foot wide road, but we've got a 20 feet of, from face of curb to face of curb. So it's going to be fairly narrow. And, we'll, as recommended by the.
How many seats is the building?
Pardon?
Seats, how many seats? What's the building seat? Occupancy.
9 times 4, 27. About 50.
It's around like 55. I think we're including occupancy in the dining area, assuming that a few are at a kiosk or the order taking. I think
Well, if you had- I mean, if
those
you
booths are 4
had
top.
20 spaces, parking spaces, you'd have plenty.
Let me ask one more site question. Do you have any kind of barrier between the headlights of the cars parked at an angle to the backyards of the houses right across the way?
Landscape.
So have you thought about anything more opaque than landscaping so that your neighbors
Privacy fence.
could have?
Well, no, really haven't. One thing we did think about there though is that will be employee parking, because we don't want people pulling in and pulling out, pulling in, backing out as orders, people trying to come in and order. So that would be at least in and out of those parking spaces, but we can look at a
I
privacy
would,
fence or something
I
like
would
that
suggest
to do that.
to be a good neighbor,
I think that's a good idea.
have
I
something
wouldn't want to do
opaque.
that. Your
Right.
backyard, right?
Have the townhouses got a fence already? I bet you they've already got a fence on their rear property line.
But you're the new guy in the block.
So.
Yeah.
I
They
think
might
we'll-
not,
We'll,
'cause of that
we'll look at
forest.
that.
Well, if they
for sure.
don't, how about y'all do it?
But yeah.
And then before we get into the architecture, obviously, anyone who lives within a McDonald's knows the French fry smell. Are there any mitigating issues, technology that you're
Oh, no,
thinking
we'll
of?
have big fans blowing it in the public parking lot.
Into the publics, not into the neighbors?
That's correct, not to the neighborhood.
All right, I think if you can promise that. Did you note that, Becca? Okay,
Any,
duly noted.
Northeast winds were okay.
is there any ability to, there's a sidewalk on that side street, the Publix driveway off of Midland?
Yes, there's our existing sidewalks on those two sides.
Any way to tie into that from your parking lot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not from the publics, but from the.
Yeah, from Midland. Because it seems like it's right there, right off sheet. In fact, actually go back and you can see it. You can see where it goes around a tree on the site plan. I apologize, Becca. So you scroll down just a little bit and right, nope, to the left. There you go. You see that little bump out right there on the edge of plan? Looks like a little half moon almost, a little sliver, halfway up the plan and far left on the weighted line. Keep going left, left. Yeah, left, left, left. Yeah, you can see the outline of the sidewalk. The sidewalk goes around, I think, what appears to be a crepe myrtle, and that is the public driveway. So that close, I was just wondering if there's any thought that we could, I mean, you've got sidewalks going throughout the parking lot. If it could tie into a sidewalk it's off property, but it's on your plan.
We talked about this a little bit at TRC, and it's pretty heavily landscaped there. And there are some oak trees as well that we probably wouldn't want to encroach on. But we could take a closer look at that, obviously, in later submittals. But it was discussed at TRC that there is a lot of existing mature landscaping in that area.
It's really pretty through there. Yeah, I'd hate to lose all that. Just a thought.
Yeah,
You
you
got
got
access
access
to
to anything
public on
outside.
the sidewalk on.
Yeah, you do.
Coming out of Madden Parkway, yeah.
You got a sidewalk there, so I mean, you've met the requirement.
So it's that little bit,
Yeah, it's,
that.
yeah, I'm not sure how many people be responding to the French fry fans want to walk in.
Well, I mean, if you're blowing it towards the Publix parking lot, they need to walk from the Publix parking lot, right?
It's,
They
kind
gonna
of
walk
possible
around.
to maybe do something in that upper corner behind the dumpster up into that corner. That's the closest connection to the sidewalk. That street is really far over. You were pointing out that little arc of a moon there on the
Yes, sir.
side.
Yeah,
That's where the sidewalk is bowing around a tree that's.
it's a light pole.
Curb. Light
Yep,
pole.
yep.
Yeah, so that's a fairly. close
Just a
one.
thought. I'm really big on accessibility. I like to be able to not have to walk through grass and just things to think about.
Thank you.
Any other site plan comments before we move on to architecture? All right, why don't you explain the architecture?
Hi, good evening. Like Elliot said, I'm Joellen Rogers with Little Diversified. This company is about 60 years old now. They started in Boone, North Carolina. This will be their 5th location. They're looking to sort of prototypeize their design, and so we're in the midst of going back and forth on some design items right now. But Elliot was correct. They're trying to do this Chick-fil-A model where the order takers kind of walk up and down that the drive-through aisle. You would give your order to a person, drive around, pick your order up from a person. They're also very family friendly. This front fenced in portion, it's actually been minimized a little bit this week. The fence will be lower. Well, it's as shown about 4 feet, but just kind of pushed back some, but just to keep those kids safe while their parents eat or what have you. They're trying to do like that coastal crust model if you've been there, where it's like a fenced in turf area. In all their locations, they have this sectional roll-up door, this overhead door for the connection inside outside, provides some glass. The model of that, we have a flat roof combined with the rafters and the hipped roof and the gabled roof, excuse me. And then the flat roof is hiding the equipment behind that parapet wall. So truly just in scale, the elevation, you can't even see it in the elevation. So we're trying not to see anything in perspective either. We have a brick base. If we're working on a final color scheme right now, I know this is just conceptual, but it'll probably be in the tans, browns as their existing facilities, with a multi-colored neutral brick base. And really everything's screened. They're trying in tandem with this board, they're trying to get through Mount Pleasant DRB. So you'll see some of those requirements there, trying to get through the jurisdictions so that they can build one anywhere. So a cool part of their model, just they don't have a freezer. Everything is fresh. Everything's brought in fresh, not frozen. They cut all the potatoes in-house. So it's a bigger kitchen than normally you might see percentage wise to the dining area, but they do have that outdoor space as well.
Reminds me a lot of Pals, only nicer looking.
They referenced pals and I had never heard of it. So that's the second reference to that.
So here in Somerville,
Mhm.
at Mount Pleasant, we like to see low country details.
Mhm.
Have you thought about any low country details or even some North Carolina details? So what is regional about this design?
So all of their existing, I would say their ground up store in North Charleston as well has a flat roof, but they like that shacky feel. They wanted to see the structure. So that's why when we decided to do the gable roof structure and the rafters are open on the inside for view. I would say they actually wanted it more simple than this for the shacky feel, the idea of the comeback shack. You're coming to someone's house. That Louisiana comeback sauce is how they originated with the recipe that sort of added their chicken to it. And so they have a chicken comeback sauce, comeback burger. The detailing is similar to their just simplistic idea of the board. And they have a board and batten and a lap siding, very neutral colors. Nothing's flashy. Even their logo is like brown and yellow and tan. It's pretty simple. The barn light fixtures kind of keeping towards that shack feel. The columns with the porch feel at the front, kind of creating this area for gathering. Keeping the entry, at the front, but kind of tucked back in for the elements. And they really liked the overhangs on the drive-through as well. They didn't want like a dinky, tiny like awning where you would pay or where you would pick up your food.
What's the current thoughts on the finish of the roofs? What
It is a standing seam.
color?
Probably white, very environmentally friendly, probably like a bone white.
What about the low eave?
Did you consider exposed rafter tails? Got a radius on the rafter
We
tails?
looked at that. I think that
Little
like
bit.
maybe even on just the porch area or something like that.
Well, particularly on the main building, because the main building is a very long building.
Mm-hmm.
And if you had the exposed rafter tails, they need to be relatively deep rafters.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're gonna have a 4-inch deep gutter at least.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're gonna
At
have
least,
gutter
yeah.
and downspout,
Mhm.
not 6.
Right.
So you can cut a rafter tail pattern,
Mm-hmm.
leave it exposed without a soffit board.
Mm-hmm.
And it just turns out it's a low country look.
It is.
Turns out
It's
look-
more maintenance for them as an owner.
It's not that difficult.
Not for me and you. I can propose that idea to them though.
But that would look good, or brackets of some kind on the gable
Mhm.
ends.
We were playing with the brackets a little bit this week on the columns, especially at the front facing and then
Yeah.
the side facing
Yeah.
elements. That those finer details are coming with some
Well,
time.
on your, coming off your porch columns too,
Mhm.
some kind
Yeah.
of a bracket detail, and off your gable overhangs,
Mhm.
a bracket detail.
Mhm.
If you did that, then you could skip the exposed rafter tails.
That's a good
I
idea.
also think that Somerville deserves something special.
Oh, yeah.
And so, just like Bill said, rafter tails, even on the porch.
Mhm.
I thought I saw in some other comeback shack photographs that the low roof is a galvanized metal.
It is.
It's-
Yeah. He rusted it
right.
in his own field.
And is that,
He
and
poured salt on it and sprayed it
Oh my
and let it in the rain for about a year. And he hand poured all of those bricks too. He does not want to do that anymore at this point in his life, but we're going to be looking for those handmade details. Yeah.
And even-
I'd like a Galvalume roof better than a white.
Yeah.
yes. And even, some of this brick base perhaps could be more rubble-like
Right.
to
Yeah.
make it, to really play up the comeback shack
Mm-hmm.
concept.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if you can add gable brackets, that'd be great for Somerville.
Mhm.
Um, you know, maybe a different handrail.
Mhm.
Rubble, more rough, as opposed to just stacked brick.
Mhm. I would think that that would be more playing towards their mountain
Right.
roots, but sometimes we like to look at that Charleston, that handmade.
Well, we also
Brick
don't
look.
like stone around here because we don't have any.
Right, that's what I say.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think it looks good.
Yeah, definitely not the wire cut
But
brick. I'm not
please-
picturing that.
Please take to heart that, you know, we do want something a little different than
Mhm.
Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, oh
So
yeah.
we're not
No, I'm
looking
just saying
for-
in tandem, we're trying to get a prototype through. And want to make everybody happy and including them, of course, but so just some of the detailing is going to be beneficial for the design for any community. But no, definitely taking some of those things to heart.
And I don't think, you know, we're just talking finishes.
Mhm, exactly.
We're not talking about anything architectural or anything like that, so.
Exactly.
Yeah, the comment
Mhm.
about the different prototype, before they were a mostly dine-in. This
Mm-hmm.
is their first Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A
So
concept.
they've added the canopies to the
Mhm.
sides where you're ordering and paying. There's no separate pay window versus pickup. And so that's really the model change. Is
Born from COVID, really,
Yeah.
when people wanted to eat outside or in their own car,
Yeah,
or
more
take and
outside
go.
How about the gable ends where it says comeback shack?
Mhm.
Instead, it's hard to tell what's there. It says lap side.
Is the lap siding.
But
Mhm.
you could use a vertical corrugated metal panel there too.
Mhm.
Might look
Yeah.
good. Might be a
Yeah, I
thought.
think that they're open to some of the ideas there. I was gonna keep some of the corrugated stuff maybe underneath the porch area, sort of more closely
Yeah.
near where the people are.
I think it'd look good in that gable too, you know, it's a barn look.
Mhm.
Okay, so since this is conceptual, any other comments from the board?
I'm not crazy about that entrance, the way that it operates with you have one way in, one way out from the left. You have two ways out to the north. I don't
That's
know.
on the site plan.
Yeah, I apologize to go back to the site plan. That's my background, I guess. But I don't know what else you can do about it. If there's like some sort of pork chop, I mean, pork chop would just make it more complicated. The only other thing that I would add is it looks like you have the dumpster enclosure to the northeast of plan. I'd like to make sure that architecture follows whatever it is you do go with, and that we have some sort of typical siding to make sure that we're matching that up pretty good. I don't want it to end up, no offense to picket fences or you know, privacy fences. I want to make sure it matches the architecture that you're spending so much time on.
Get
Yeah.
another box of rock salt, make some more.
Well, I do, since it's conceptual, it might not be a bad time to ask. Because you're right, though, they are gonna be mad at you for those dumpster locations. If we're incorporating a privacy fence at a relatively high, 6 or 8 foot, could we incorporate the dumpsters at that size? Like into the fence design on that northeast
The
corner?
Fence we're talking about is on the right hand side. That's the
Between-
northwest.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
On the back, there's a bamboo wall.
Oh,
back there now.
natural, yeah.
Hopefully, we're not getting into, that would remain, back there. I can't tell whose property, whether it's on our property or the public property.
But the dumpsters is like a visual
But
thing.
At the dumpsters to match a fence, or just kind of match the corrugated metal of the.
And that's a requirement of the ordinance that it has to be screened with like material.
Yeah, oh, no, absolutely. I was just thinking, was there, if we're gonna do a fence on that right side, anyway, incorporating that into the dumpsters and getting them closer to the building.
So lose a parking space or two on the right in favor of a dumpster
I,
What do you think?
I know nobody wants a dumpster out by the street.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
I think what she's talking about is, you know, you lose number 7
Mm-hmm.
for dumpster enclosure, you incorporate the fence that we're looking for to protect the residents on Plan Northeast. And that way it kind of, you kill two birds with one stone, you have a fence and a dumpster enclosure all in one structure.
It's just putting the dumpster, the reason the dumpsters are there is because that's further you go up to that seventh parking space, the closer you're getting to a house. And that dumpster's gonna get empty at 4 a.m. as it
Oh, no.
does across from our house.
They ain't gonna like that.
That's
Good point.
why.
That's why we like to do conceptual plans, and so we can flush this out.
Is there any foundation landscaping required on the left-hand side of your building? Or is there any curbs to prevent a car from just hitting your building? Do you see what I'm talking about?
On the left-hand side.
On the left side?
On the left side of your
Left on-
building?
Left side of the building, you got
Well, on the,
your
as,
pickup.
as the
driveway.
traffic is coming around from behind, we've got a little bit of landscaping there and there.
Right. I'm just concerned of a car veering into your building.
If you're sitting in one of those booths, you only got a foot of wall between you and the world
And
travel.
Guess we could put a
There's-
curb line there and narrow up that drive.
We
because
were
we
talking about.
do have an offset at the drive-through area.
It'd be a good idea to get a 12-inch curve or
Extend the
something.
curb there and get a little something going down that side. Yep.
You could almost extend that line down, you know, from the pickup
Yep.
deal
That's
with the
probably,
curve.
At least 16 inches.
I think we're gonna have more than.
And I would look at I don't know what that door is. Is that a public door? Is that whatever door is swinging into the drive aisle?
We were
I-
just talking about that. There's actually.
I
a
would
lane
push that in so
there
it doesn't
that's
swing
there
into
now.
the drive aisle.
In the. in front.
So there's a required
That's
egress
an
by the
employee
ordering
door.
area. And there's, in the latest version, 50 from yesterday afternoon. There, we are looking at
Okay.
the curving there and a landing to get people out of that door. It's emergency exit only, but you know, that needs to be.
And code would require what, 5 foot, a
Mhm.
5x5 or a bollard?
It will. Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions from you guys? All
I
right.
think so.
Great job.
Appreciate your time.
Looking forward.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Oh.
Okay, next item is 421 East North Street. No. Site improvements for medical office, preliminary review.
So I won't read through all of the TRC comments, but I did include them in the staff report just for your reference. But because a full tree survey nor a tree protection care plan have been provided, staff cannot provide further comments at this time. DRB final approval, which we've already discussed this with the applicant, but it should not be requested until those items have been provided and reviewed by the town arborist. The updated tree survey and protection plan should note the percentage of encroachment into the required tree protection area for the grand trees on site. The updates to the existing building are minimal and do not present any ordinance compliance concerns. A dumpster enclosure detail with a material similar to the primary structure will need to be provided prior to final DRB approval, as well as a photometric plan. They are just going before you for preliminary tonight.
Welcome.
East Fifth North Street.
Good afternoon, Gene Hinkle with Goodwin Mills Kaywood. I am the engineer of record for the project. Also, with Goodwin Mills Kaywood is Ben Wittenberg. He is the architect of record for the project. This is the existing or previously used Safe Light Auto Glass repair facility. The proposal is to upfit this office to medical use. We are proposing to shift the driveway south to create separation from Earl DePriest and also the driveway across 78 from the side. Through discussions and coordination with DOT, they requested this be a ride-in, ride-out only access drive.
How do you function like that?
You would have to enter from the south on 78 to
Yeah,
the side.
it's gonna be inconvenient.
Yeah. But we did try to coordinate with the owner to the north, and there was no ability to enter the side that way. The existing driveway is very steep. I mean, there's a 6-7 foot elevation difference between 78 and the finished floor of this existing building here. So there are some challenges there. And another reason for shifting the driveway where we are, there are some existing nice live oaks at the front of the site, that one there. There's also, we've done some additional tree survey work. There's also one on the I guess this would be the eastern boundary buffer area at the front of the site there, that we'll need to preserve a few live oaks there.
Is there a plan, Becca, where you can zoom out so we can see the neighbors and the context of the site?
Housing over here.
Yeah, those are
Branch Creek Trail is
This is
fun.
This is rundown retail building. So you got rundown retail and you got low income housing that's been there for 50 years.
And what's across the street? What's this big?
The Church of the Nazarene. Okay. I don't think Branch Creek Trail is low income.
Well, that is a church, isn't it?
Okay, but it's residential.
Yes, yeah, and they've had a lot of concerns with the traffic and the intersection of Branch Creek Trail and East Fifth. I'm sure Becca has fielded many phone calls on that. Unfortunately, I have.
Yeah, DOT does have a widening. You guys are, I'm sure, aware of that project plan in the future for 78.
And Josh Johnson's pretty strict on right in, right outs. So if that's what he says, I'm not gonna fight
that
him.
was very quick. That's what they wanted.
Yeah.
There was no back and forth. They were good with the location of the drive. That's the best alternative we have to create separation there.
Yeah. Those pesky transportation engineers.
Okay.
Yeah, we did need to create additional parking for the use.
So it's actually flipping the driveway, is it not? The driveway.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sure you said that. I apologize.
Yeah.
So a medical office, meaning people will come in the morning, do their job and leave in the afternoon. People won't be coming in and out all day. Okay.
Because it's similar on y'all's UDO where I see existing vegetation to remain. It needs to be bolstered if it doesn't meet a certain standard, or is it just?
Correct. It can be utilized to meet the requirement, but that's going to be addressed when we look at the updated tree survey to verify that because we have certain, you have to have this many trees every 40 feet. So we would just verify that once they have the updated tree survey. And then if we did need to beef it up, we would.
This is also heavily, there's a lot of bamboo, a lot of thorny Eleagnus I mean, just dense there. In cases like that, would you want us to remove and supplement or?
I think our arborist, usually how we handle it is our arborist would go out and visit the site and take a look at what's there based on the survey. If there's anything invasive, he would probably recommend removing it for the health of the trees, but that's also going to be we asked for an evaluation from a certified arborist. That may be a recommendation that comes from your end. With that, if you have some really good trees within that buffer and they're being choked out by underbrush, we would maybe recommend, cleaning that out. But at the minimum, I would think that you may be required to put in some additional shrubbery, some evergreen. But we really have to be on site to kind of evaluate that and have the survey.
Okay.
So for trash, it's just rollouts, right? You're just gonna roll out your trash and there's gonna be
You got a
medical.
dumpster in-
Correct. Enclosure in the back there. Yes.
Oh. Okay. So what are you proposing
That would be,
architecturally?
So the building's existing, all we are currently, as I said, it was a automotive glass repair. All we're doing is infilling the old roll-up doors with a matching metal panel. Otherwise, the building is existing to remain.
Do you have any photographs?
Just slightly off-white metal panel.
Are there any photographs?
It's red brick.
Yes, sir, the front is red brick.
Thank you.
So that's the
There
front
it
end.
is. That's all you can see of it too. You don't even see the side.
That's the problem with the road. That's why we want to fix
There
it.
you, there you go.
So we're pulling out those doors and replacing them with a matching metal panel. And that's on both sides there. It's a
Going out that
pull
side.
through. Yep.
Good pictures.
So is this medical office building accessible to the public? It's meant to be,
Yes, sir.
there's doctors and,
Yes, sir.
and this is the extent of the remodel?
The interior will get remodeled into.
Right.
Yes, sir.
But as far as the exterior,
That is the extent of the remodel to the.
is this a private medical?
Yes, sir.
Any signage, anything besides
All they do.
getting
for
rid of
signage is
garage
on-
doors? Is there a compelling reason again
Cost. For signage or
for more improvements to make it look like a
cost.
different use than Safe Light? Which,
There's a lot
If
of
y'all
room
want to
for
maybe
improvement.
speak to the use of
Now,
the
let's
medical
say-
use, like what type of office, I think that narrative, there was something about a narrative about the nature of the use of the space. As far as like privacy and,
Canopy.
It's a substance abuse clinic. So it is a private, we don't want to draw any attention necessarily to the patients coming in.
You need to ride by there, Pete, and look at it, because it looks pretty good the way it is. Especially with everything else out there.
well,
yeah, it's in care. I mean,
I mean, this is a new building, new function. I think it needs to look new.
No, not really, not when it looks as good as it looks. It looks a lot better in real life than it does in this picture. About the only thing I'd do to is put some canopies over the doors so that you don't get wet when you go in.
We could definitely.
I wouldn't even make that a requirement. I would just, my suggestion. My pet peeve is getting wet when I walk in.
I'm not a big fan of that either, sir. So I support you.
Can you show the existing photos again, Becca?
And they're redoing all of that. They're even including a sidewalk from from the parking lot area down to the sidewalk they're gonna install on 78, if I read the plans right.
That will help somewhat.
Yeah.
Make it.
Cleaning the brick and
Are you gonna use that monument sign, just reface it?
yes,
I mean, I would
the
suggest,
street sign,
yeah,
yes.
the street
Yes.
sign, right?
Yes, sir.
That's really all the signage you need.
Yes, sir. The building signs won't be there and it's not there now, but,
Yeah, no, it's gone now.
and when we pressure wash it, you won't be able to tell it was there, so.
It's a decent looking brick and the building has decent brick details.
I think there needs to be some trim around the window. I think there needs to be some cleaning up with the brick. You're gonna have to patch where the sign comes off. You know, I don't mind, well, before I say that, do the neighbors see the sides? Is there a site plan we can go back? Or is that pretty
There's a
much?
substantial buffer on the
Okay.
right-hand side.
There's a 25-foot buffer or
Is that
something.
what it
on
is,
the right
25?
side.
Yeah. And the left side is, correct me if I'm wrong, is commercial. On the other side of
Yes,
Earl's Road, I'm not gonna pronounce that last name.
Okay.
you're correct, sir.
Yeah, I don't disagree with Peter. It would be a nice opportunity to dress up a building. If we can find the right thing that fits. Obviously, y'all been in the audience, you've heard the low country feel, Somerville needs to be special. I 100% agree with that. I don't know how you make it better. That's my three counterparts on this board are probably more adept to answer that question.
You could do orange or something, and you could paint the metal siding more of the color of the brick, so it doesn't stand out.
If you look at the picture, it's flat, you know what I mean? So even if you added awning or something over the windows
Doors.
and the door, it would look better. And again, like you said, clean up the brick, you can, and I don't know how recent this, you know, when you go to Google, I don't know what year this was taken, but.
You got
the brick
stains on
could
that brick.
certainly-
February 2023.
The brick could certainly be cleaned up top.
Yes.
But
That's easy.
I think you need something above the windows.
I would add trim around the windows, so it's not a flat plane. What are you doing on the sides? Can you go back to your proposed side elevations?
We're not proposing adding anything to the sides other than infilling the doors that were there.
The overhead doors.
Right.
Right. Roll it.
I'd paint the metal more of brick color just so it doesn't jump out at you.
I would agree with that.
But I've driven by that building a million times and never even noticed the metal on the sides. And when it was Glass Pro, used to do a lot of business with the people that own Glass Pro. Built gymnasium for Pinewood School. They were in charge of that. They donated all the money for it. But I was surprised when they sold Glass Pro, built Glass Pro for them in Georgetown. And they just disappeared. Still live in Mount Pleasant.
So when you put that new metal there, you know how stuff fades, is it gonna be a different color? You see what I'm saying? So you may have to work to get that.
Well, that's why I painted it too.
Painted it.
Yeah, I think we want to see a new building.
Yeah.
The appearance of a new building, new finishes.
Just a little bit could make that,
Right.
like the awnings, cleaning the brick and the fresh on the sides. I think it could look a whole lot better. And plus you're getting that new drive, because that drive looks so terrible now.
It's going away.
Do you know what the condition of the existing metal panels are?
I'm sorry?
Do you know what the conditions are?
They're in good condition. I was out there today and it looks good. It looks almost.
And
new.
metal is what, aluminum?
No.
No,
It's a
Galvanized?
metal building. It's
It
a metal
is.
building.
It's a painted metal.
It's a PBR panel. Last 60, 70 years.
Okay. Any questions for the board? Yes. Any other questions from you guys?
Just one is, this is assuming we get preliminary approval today, then we would come back with the landscape plan and
And show us
elevations.
the suggestion, show us what
Colors.
you.
Okay. Okay.
Take some pictures, and get some colors.
Yeah, and show us how that, if you're gonna pick awnings, then what are you gonna do with the awnings? What are you gonna do around the windows? Just show us that so that we can give you that. Okay.
I would do a sloped kind of awning,
Yes, sir.
not a canvas, but
Standing seam probably.
even, I mean, just to be, just any kind of metal panel for an awning would be fine. Just doesn't need to project max 5 feet.
Yes, sir.
Okay, do we have a motion for a preliminary review of the retrofit for this office, medical office building?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, so duly note all the comments we had as part of this approval, and do we have a vote for? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those against say no. All right. So again, everything we talked about needs to be incorporated into the next presentation. And please bring sample boards of actual colors and everything,
Yes, sir.
and make sure that all staff issues are resolved, hopefully before you present the next architectural set to us.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, last item on the agenda, 500 Greenway Boulevard. Press box and concession stand.
Okay, so this project is zoned or on land zoned public land, was approved by council on 12/12. Staff has no comments as there is already a structure in close proximity to the proposed structure that will be demolished and replaced by a new building within this proposal.
All right. Thank you, Becca.
Mm.
My name is Heath Barmas from LFK Architects, and tonight we're presenting the new softball press box and concession stand for the Somerville High School girls softball team. It's a fairly small structure at 728 square feet. It is replacing an existing single restroom facility and much smaller concession stand. This structure is going to have 2 new restrooms, separated male, female, which the previous one did not, a much larger concession stand, and on the second level, a press box and let's see, it's just the press box with the sliding glass windows looking out towards the field. There's not really much to say about the structure itself, other than it's now a concise single building. We've tried to utilize the same materials that the rest of the complex uses, with CMU on the first floor, Hardy Products on the second, and I don't know if we have any comments on, let's look at the site if we could, please.
Those are smooth CMU or they split face?
Yes, that's from CMU.
Painted?
Can turn that over to Mike
Brightway, thank you.
Monti.
Yeah. No, hey, I'm Mike Monti. I'm just a volunteer. Nice to see you.
I don't read, so that's,
Oh, I got it.
I see it right here. It says bright white, so I apologize for a stupid question.
Yeah, well, so to be consistent with what's at the field, it would be this big green monstrosity. So I'm not sure that's what we're looking for. So it would probably just be a wait and see. I mean, it's got to blend with what's out there, but it can't be all green. So,
How about white?
well, I mean, we'll have to see what we got, but white's an option. Maybe there's a green stripe across it, or a yellow band or something like that, because that's consistent with the locker room out there.
So you're from the softball's right by the baseball, right? They're
is.
adjacent. What does the baseball concession, is that newer? Is that old as
No,
well? What does that
No,
look like?
that's all 1990s era.
So, right, so that's not,
So
right.
it's, yeah,
So we don't want to try and match up to the
no,
1990s, I guess.
they're
is
going to
what
want
I'm
to match
asking.
what we're doing.
Yeah, correct.
So the drawing says painted CMU.
Right.
Right. Well,
And you would paint it because you don't want it to leak. And
fair.
Unpainted CMU is gonna leak.
That's
You gotta.
right.
coat
Well,
CMU.
yeah, the idea wasn't to leave it unpainted, but
It's gonna
the,
leak.
what
There
color
is
was
a
it going to
last
be?
American code. I'll add that, is that the.
That's paint.
Yes, it is. So it's just a matter of determining what the final color
Yeah, paint it
is going
white.
to be.
Put green signs on it, just like your drawing shows.
Yeah, so I'm happy that the girls softball is getting a new.
Yes.
I yeah, I'm like you. I don't like the green. I like the white. I mean, I like the drawing. I like the Somerville,
The green accents on.
the green
back, that's the
accents
goals.
on the white. I don't know how hard it will be to keep that
Everything out there has to be repainted. I
clean.
mean,
Right,
it's
that's
just
what
an
I'm
annual
saying.
event.
Pressure washed and
Well,
cleaned all the
yeah,
time. I don't know.
sometimes pressure washing's
Ex-
leads to painting. So
Correct. I
yes,
understand.
maintenance there for sure.
How-
Pressure washer's dangerous.
How often will this be used? Is it just during the
This is
softball
This
season?
is softball season. This is
So 2 months out of the year?
When you look at a season, maybe your official games, but any sports
Practice.
team practices most of the year.
But will
It's
the concession be open during those
No.
times?
No, the concession stand's only open during the regular season, plus any
Which is-
tournaments that are held that are
Four
sponsored by the school,
Yeah.
plus, for those who don't know, the 2 time in a row state champions.
Right.
So we've had pretty big crowds the last 2 years. But
Congratulations.
unfortunately, to correct what he said earlier, today and for the last 2 years, there hasn't been a restroom facility on the site.
Yeah. and that-
Everybody that shows up to a game that has to use the restroom has to walk across the street to the gym at Greg and go to the restroom and then come back. So there has been some temporary, last year, I believe there was some temporary portalets out there, but I mean, that's not functional for women's sports. It
So
works
will
okay
these
for others perhaps.
restrooms be open beyond the softball season?
I wouldn't anticipate that. No, we keep
Just for
everything
softball.
out there locked up. I mean, it's school property at that point. And it's, if it's ever
So
going to,
the team practicing,
there are restrooms in the team locker rooms. So that if the high school team is practicing on the field, they will use the restrooms in the locker room. There are 2 facilities in the locker room on the first base line.
and is there a reason why they're only going to be open during softball games? And I'm talking about the restrooms.
Well,
Shouldn't be anybody there if you're not having. a game.
Is that the reality? No one?
there's a lot of reasons. It's a great question. First of all, there's about an 8-foot fence that wraps around the facility anyway, plastic coated and all this, and all the gates are locked because there's been vandalism at the site in the past, and I mean, people have driven on the field, so and there's a lot of pride of ownership in this whole facility, so there's nothing left unlocked because of where it is. I mean,
And let's be real,
have all the
doesn't matter
security
where it
lighting you
is. You
want.
can't go with anything not locked
No,
anymore.
you
It's
have
just-
to lock it down. And the first thing that's going to happen out there is somebody's going to rip sinks off the
Yeah,
wall and
it'll be
deface the
ruined.
inside. And no, to your question.
Not
We-
some of them.
Yeah, I wish we could say not in some.
Right.
Okay, so the majority of the time, this facility will be locked and closed and look like it's locked and closed.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what is concession? Do you have a health department kitchen or
Oh,
no?
well, okay. So I'll apologize to Miss Becca first because this was all done by volunteers. I'm one of them. These guys that are here, Phil Stropes, the site engineer, I mean, ADC and LKF, they've done this goodwill for the district. It took us 18 months to get all this together because they're doing it gratis. And we just got the approval from Columbia from the OSF on the 19th of November. But only then did we know that we had to come here. Actually, after that, it's only been in the span of a couple of weeks that we knew that we had to bring this to you. And that's how we were actually invited by Becca. And that's why we're last on the agenda, the modified agenda, because we didn't know, and we were trying to get this project done before the beginning of the softball season. And frankly, we've had these drawings, we've had enough of this rendering that this group right here could have reviewed this 6 months ago, but we didn't know. And so it's a little bit of the background of this whole project.
So will there be a kitchen in here or no?
There is a concession stand. It's not necessarily a kitchen. It's more of a, there'll be a French fry machine and a hot dog machine, and somebody will roll a gas grill outside, but there'll be nothing, range hoods or anything like that.
So do you know if the health department will get involved with some of the fixturing once they get to that point?
I can't really speak to that because these, as you know, these school projects they don't go through our building permit process, and the planning department has nothing to do. We're aesthetics
Okay.
and landscaping and site only, and this has very minimal site impact. It's already paved there. So really, we're just looking at the exterior architecture for this.
Your air conditioning years ago.
I knew that was coming. I've been sitting here long enough. There won't be any because it'll be operated by box fans. I mean, the front windows of the press box open. You can manage that. You're up there for a couple, 3 hours late in the afternoon. It's still going to be tough, but there wasn't any air conditioning in the prior setup. So, and the concession stand's open enough. Air will just move through.
Right.
You're hot or cold.
Whatever. That's right. You're going to freeze to death in February and March, and in April, May, and June, you'll probably be sweating to death. So
This is preliminary.
No, they're looking for
Final.
final.
Well,
no, we're totally backwards. We didn't know. So
they painted.
I mean, to be honest with you, I think we all agree the renderings shown I like him.
Me too. I think it's very.
I think it's classy.
Painted white.
It's got a lot of little
White,
green
green.
details that look great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any concerns that need to be addressed or?
I don't beat.
Okay.
No.
Do we have a motion then?
I recommend, or I make a motion to approve.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Thank you.
thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I'll send y'all the approval tomorrow.
Thank you. Beth.
We need to sign in.
Folks, we don't have anything under miscellaneous.
Thank you.
But I will say that at our next meeting,
Oh, no.
we will elect
Thank you.
our
Christmas.
chairman and vice chair as normal in the new year, and you will have a new board member. But other than that, you will see some emails soon for some training that all of our boards will be going through, but that'll be in the new year, so you don't have to worry about it now. So
Is
if
it
y'all
State
don't,
training, or is that Somerville's?
it will be state training with staff. So, yeah, other than that, if y'all don't have any questions for me, we can get a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor say
Aye.
aye.